$1,000 with Nina Fletcher. I am your host, Nina Fletcher. As always, let's get cracking. Today, I want to answer some of the questions that you guys have been asking over a bit of a period of time. So we're going to answer probably about 2 or 3 questions. One of them is extremely easy. The other 2 are going to take a little process to show you. So I figured I'd make a meal out of your questions. How about that? All right. So listen, question number 1 was, Nina, we love the New England clam chowder vegan soup. In other words, that was the cauliflower soup with the hearts of palm, the vegan version, right? So I had a viewer that says, we love that, but we had hearts of palm left over. So your question is, besides making soup, what else can I do with hearts of palm? So I can understand that, because hearts of palm, you don't cook with that every day. So let's give you some ideas. It goes wonderful in salads, like if you're using field greens or poke greens. Some people call them muscadine greens. It goes well in that. But today, I'm going to teach you how to make a main dish out of your hearts of palm. So let's get started with that, okay? I found some beautiful heirloom cherry tomatoes that I'm going to be using. Very, very easy. So you want to start with those. And like I said, we're going to make hearts of palm cakes. So we're going to use these for the sweet. Not a whole lot. You can generally do them to taste. Just remember that this dish is not necessarily tomatoey, so you're doing this for the sweetness. There's another thing that you can use for the sweetness, and that is corn. For this, I like this brand of tomato because it comes in variety. They're not just red, so you get a little bit of variety in the taste too. So if you notice, I chose a red, I chose a yellow, and some people think they taste the same, but to me, they don't. There's a mild difference in the flavor that I think gets pronounced when you're cooking. You know what? I think I want to use one of the purple ones too for the taste. I noticed I didn't use a purple one. They're really fun. Bet you didn't know tomatoes came in so many colors, right? Try it sometime. It's not bad. All right. Your next ingredient is going to be, and I don't have to introduce it, simple red pepper. Real easy. You can use orange if you want, but I'm going for a little bit of hot and not necessarily a whole lot of spice. So the regular red bell is excellent for this. And this is definitely one of those meals you want to do your remnant pack with. Remember the remnants? You doing it? I'm telling you, it'll save you money. In fact, I'm going to show you what I did with the remnant pack with one of the other dishes I'm going to make for you today. I think we're okay with red pepper. You know what? I never have too much. Fresh fruits and vegetables are always cool. Okay, yeah, that did it. Okay. So now to this. Oh, wait a minute. One more thing. You guessed it. I usually try to prep this before, but I didn't get to this time. I forgot. Garlic. All right, now we got it. I'm only using 1 clove in this one, so you can use more if you'd like. Now let's get down to the actual flavors here. I like a bit of thyme. You pull that right off the stem and into the mix. And I will tell you now, this makes a brilliant appetizer. You just stop right here and put the thyme in there, and you put a little grapeseed oil or olive oil. So good. But that's another show. This is sage. Basically, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be cut, but you can just sort of break it up and put it in there. I use a mixture of the black sage and the green sage. It's entirely up to you. And we're going to go to our powdered herbs. A little bit of onion. I did forget to put that in. Not a whole lot, because you got a lot of flavors going in here, and you want the hearts of palm. The hearts of palm are generally very, very neutral. So you want to make sure that you put just enough of each flavor in there and not too much of one, because it'll start tasting like only the one. Okay. So let's now get on with the dry flavors. I put half a teaspoon of nutritional yeast flakes. That's half a tablespoon. I put a little bit of red pepper. Not a whole lot, just a splatter. This is organic paprika. Himalayan sea salt. That's to taste. Black pepper. Now this is your choice if you want to use this. Sometimes I do. You don't necessarily have to, but this is a little bit of Lowry's. I just drop it in there from time to time because I like, you know, sometimes the taste of it in the actual cake. All right, so here goes the star of the whole thing. This is, cover this up, the hearts of palm that I showed you last time. Comes in the can, sometimes comes in the jar. I like the ones that come in the jar, but I'll be honest with you, the ones that come in the can are much more reasonably priced. Now, let me give you a little hint with these. For those of you who said that you weren't sure what you were tasting, it sort of felt like or tasted like the can a little bit, I want to show you something. You see how this is in there? Now, this part, the bottom part, is touching the can, so it's packed in there and it's waiting on the shelf that way, right? Same thing with the top, because I had to pull back the lid, right? Figure something out. First of all, you can, if you like, rinse it. It's not necessary, but you can, and that'll get some of it. But the ends that are closest to the can, take them off. You don't need them. See? And that should take care of that taste, because overall, I noticed that the hearts of palm were just actually very hearty, and it didn't have that sharp taste except for certain bites. And through experimentation, I figured out, yep, it's the parts that have been close to or touching the can, which means if you use the one in the glass, you probably will not have that problem. Hint, hint. Okay. So, you're going to go ahead and cut up your hearts of palm. Very easy. Very user-friendly recipe. Now, I have another suggestion for you. Just in this dish in particular, and if you watched my jicama root cakes, some of you are very sensitive to salt and shouldn't have any, right? So my suggestion to you would be use Bragg's amino acid. Now, I'm not a total big fan of Bragg's all of the time because it's an acid. And I try to stick with vegetables and fruits that are slightly on the alkaline side, just for balance, because there's so many things in a day that you eat that are acid. So I try to balance out what I eat in terms of, fruits and vegetables with mostly alkalinity. But it is a suggestion, and it works very, very well in the place of salt, especially in this dish. Now, if you choose to do that, use a 1/4 cup of salt. So you just take the hearts of palm, cut them up a little bit, just like you did in the soup dish. You'll come out with these wonderful little morsels and chunks that remind you of seafood. And you plop them in. Remember, you've already got all of your mixture base. Now, I will tell you, for this next piece, moisture is a good and a bad thing. So be very careful. Why am I saying that? Because hearts of palm is already moist because it's been sitting in liquid for so long, right? So you want to be careful about the amount of moisture you put up in there. Now, what you're doing, you're going to mix your hearts of palm in with the base that you created with all the fresh fruits and the vegetables, right? Well, not fruits, but fresh vegetables and herbs. And, if I can stop splattering it, this is what you come away with, okay? And I will tell you honestly, that in itself is very good. You can even stop there and just start eating, okay? Which is what I like about this dish. It's at this point that you want to just take a good look at the moisture that's there and see if you really need any. But I'm looking at the moisture in this, and I think I need a little bit of spelt. I prefer, this is my homemade cashew milk, and we will circle back to this at some point in the future. But I put like maybe an eighth of a cup in there for the moisture, because you want it to come back to you as a cake, and you need sort of like a batter consistency in there. I'll show you what I'm talking about. See how that sort of looks like batter in there? That's what you need to sort of try to get it to stick together just a little bit. So after you get that, put your little more spelt in there. And for the crunch, and I'm just going to show you, this is one of the few things I'll show you with the boxes, because for this dish, you don't want to go get the regular breadcrumbs. It's just not going to work, okay? The regular breadcrumbs get wet really quick, okay, soggy. So take this. These are panko chips or panko breadcrumbs, and you can get them in the vegan variety. And you want to mix that in with everything. Okay, so it's here. You want to take a look at your moisture and see if you need a little bit more of the spelt flour. Drop that in. And once you start seeing adhering together, you're good. All right, now, for this, ironically, I normally cook in olive oil, right? But I actually prefer a little bit of coconut oil for these. And I'm using, that's about a tablespoon of it. I can't give you a very specific reason why I prefer the coconut oil with this. I think it has something to do with the browning process, but I just do. So we'll have that pan come on up a little bit. We're almost there. And this part of it is just like you're making some type of a patty, okay? Whether it's hamburger patty, see how nicely it adheres? Look. See? You don't have any animal products, and incidentally, you don't have any flax seeds or anything in there either. You could use this as an opportunity to put in your chia seeds and your flax seeds, you know, add a few superfoods. That would work very nicely for you at this time, but I'm going to forego that because I just want to go ahead and get these cooking. Okay, so we're just going to watch them carefully. And when they get to be a little bit fragrant, let's see if we can flip them over. Yep, that's perfect. That is the kind of brown that you actually want on them. A nice, deep golden brown. That's how I prefer mine. You can go lighter if you want, but I prefer mine to be about that color, the deeper golden brown. All right, which brings us on to question number 2, and we can pretty much do this one quickly. Now the question is, Nina, how do I get nice potatoes without using dairy, etc.? Have I got it for you? So over here what I did was, now you'll have to excuse me because I prefer to have the skins on my potato. But let me backtrack here for a minute. These are German bell potatoes. They're very small potatoes. I like them because they don't take a whole lot of time to cook. You can just pop them in the water and just sort of like let them rip. Now, these have already been boiled, right? They're very durable potato, and I like to cook them with a little bit of my vegetable broth that I make out of remnants. You guessed it. So that's a little bit on getting flavor in the potato. That's the first thing you want to do. So right over here, I have some potatoes. I simply put them in a bowl. And excuse me here for a moment because I'm smelling our hearts of palm have actually done us a favor here and got done quickly. Go ahead and plate those up. Let's get back to our potatoes. As I was saying, I leave the skins on. I prefer to have the skins on. I like the skins. Sue me, right? So, what you do, mortar and pestle. They're a nice yellow shade, slightly starchy. The only thing I like better than these are black potatoes. Black potatoes are so good when you do this. So, it looks a little bit interesting, but it tastes fabulous, right? So you get in here with a mortar and pestle a little bit. Mortar and pestle them up a little bit. Now here's where your flavor comes in. As always, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Now here's where, you can use any herb that you choose, but some people will use rosemary, but I like to stay with the variety that I have in the Hearts of Palm cakes. Then what you do is you take just a little bit of olive oil, and if that's still not creamy enough for you, you can go ahead and put in a little bit of, for this, I prefer cashew milk for the creaminess, because the rest of it is a little runny. I wouldn't use coconut, and I wouldn't use almond. I would use cashew. Now this, if you ask me how I prefer my potatoes, salt, pepper, a little bit of herbs, and some olive oil. Cook it in your vegetable broth with the flavor pack to get the flavor coming through, and you have a nice creamy potato. I kid you not. So we're also going to put this aside, and we're going to plate everything all together. Question number 3 was about asparagus. Nina, how in the world do I cook asparagus in the bamboo steamer? Now, understanding this came from someone who has never used a bamboo steamer. I don't blame you. There are some people who have not used a food processor, and there are some people who haven't used any kitchen tools at all. So we work with everybody here at Plant Dominant Dollars. And for today, somebody had a question about the bamboo steamer, and I'll walk over to the stove in a minute, and you'll see it in the overhead shot exactly how to work the bamboo steamer. But I'm going to teach you how to work your vegetable first, okay? So here goes. Oops, a little bit of water got me in the head here. Here goes your asparagus. Okay, now with your asparagus, this is just me. I do not like the very ends of it. Sometimes it turns out to be extremely fibrous. So I cut those off. And that's probably about a 1/2 inch up. And yes, I am trying to stop a stalk of asparagus from going on the floor. Bloopers. Okay, so you cut about 1 inch off at the bottom. Just to clean them up. So now you have nice clean tops, and you want to inspect them. See, something like this I wouldn't use, not quite ready. This is nice. This is nice. Something with a nice full head. See, you don't want to use something like that because the head is not full. Nah. No, on that one either. So you inspect them a little bit, and the rest of these look pretty darn good. So a little bit of salt. And I do it right on the cutting board. And a little bit of pepper. Okay. And just a little bit of olive oil. And yes, I do it right on the cutting board because I try to toss them with my fingers so that I get all of the salt and the pepper through it. Now it's at this point you can make a choice. You can either use fresh garlic, right? Or you can use the powdered garlic. That is not for me. And here's what I like about bamboo steamers. It does not have, because the steam is basically transferring the flavor through the heat, you don't have to worry about sitting here trying to dice garlic. You just sort of smush it. It doesn't have to be even. Take your asparagus, and we're going over to the bamboo steamer now. Let me put this down here for a second so you can see. This is how you use it. I'll use this. I have about 1 inch of hot water boiling in the bottom of the bamboo steamer. Okay? So you want to go ahead and just put 1 inch of water in there. And then what you do is you sit your bamboo steamer on top of the board. It's very easy. Okay? I suggest you do that like I did before the water gets hot. It's a little bit easier to do that. So then what you'll notice is the steam is coming all through the bamboo steamer, it's distributing, and that is how the food cooks. Okay, it's a lot better than boiling it, okay? So what you do, okay, so what you're gonna do is put your asparagus in there, your seasoned asparagus, with your garlic and close it down. And I'll be honest with you, I prefer to keep my asparagus in there for approximately 1 minute, 2 minutes, they get a little bit soft, 3 minutes. I like them sweet like French fries. That's just how I like my asparagus. The same way I like my string beans. We're gonna do that too. You don't cook them a long time in the bamboo steamer. It's not for that. You don't leave it for hours. The only thing you leave a little bit of a long time, if you ever do it, is corn. Doesn't need a long time. In fact, I would take it out now. So let me plate up. Yeah, I just want them warm and crunchy. Excuse me. Perfect. Right there. They're sweet and they're crunchy. They were literally in maybe for 60 seconds. You don't put them in for a long time. You put them until they bend a little bit. Because after that, they start tasting like battery acid. That's not what you want. All right. So, it is time for the lesson plate up. Let's start with, ding ding, the potatoes. Lesson with the potatoes. Cook them in the remnant vegetable broth. And then use a fresh herb in there, a little salt and pepper, and olive oil. You'll have nice creamy potatoes. If you need creamy beyond that, put a little cashew milk in there. I don't suggest almond and coconut. Okay? And just for those who missed it earlier, I tell you, I prefer to keep the skins on my potatoes. As long as they are washed properly, you should not have an issue. Excuse me. Perfect. Now, question number 2. What else can I do with my hearts of palm cakes? Or with my hearts of palm? You can make hearts of palm cakes. Very, very easy. Fresh herbs, a little bit of panko crumbs. Right? And last but not least, exactly how do I use the bamboo steamer? No more than 60 seconds. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of olive oil. Yum. And plant dominant. Listen, I got the asparagus for like $1. Okay, the hearts of palm are like $2. And I got them, it was actually, the cans were 2 for $3 because I cooked one and ate it earlier. Okay, so we have hearts of palm cakes, smashed potato. I call them smashed potatoes because I leave the skins on. And we have great asparagus in the bamboo steamer. And basically they are all how-tos. These are questions you've been asking me. I'm glad I'm able to answer them, and I'm glad that you're asking them. So keep it coming. Keep the views coming. okay? And I do read your questions and I do read all of your comments. And we here at Plant Dominant Dollars with Nina Fletcher, thank you for your support. Thank you for watching Plant Dominant Dollars with Nina Fletcher. I am your host, Nina Fletcher. Don't forget, like and subscribe on YouTube if you are not liked and subscribed yet. We appreciate that support too.
Thank you for watching Plant Dominant Dollars with Nina Fletcher. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tune in next week when Nina takes on
vegan cinnamon rolls
here on Plant Dominant Dollars with Nina Fletcher. It's the genius!